Hello, this is Kaya with Pantry Paratus. Canning season is upon us, and we need to spend some time finding some tested quality recipes and brushing up on our canning skills before we get started so that we know that our canned goods are both yummy and safe. Well, I have brewed myself a pot of tea for the evening and I want to do some evening reading. I brought a stack of books that I'd like to share with you. They're not all the same, but they do cover a lot of the same information. So, we will compare and contrast. This way, you know that whichever books you decide to settle upon, you will have everything you need to get started safely, and you'll feel confident in the kitchen this summer when you're canning your produce. So, all right, let's get started. First, I want to cover the two books on bottom because these are encyclopedic primers. Carla Emery did an amazing job of weaving her own personal storyline through the pages of wisdom. So I love this book. I've read it cover to cover, including appendices, and I think it's great. Now, Story's basic country skills, I find I turn to more and more as time passes, because although it does not have that personal narrative in there, it is refreshingly simple, easy to find what you're looking for. So I do recommend getting one of these no matter what, whether it's canning or another skill, but start there. This is based off of the Encyclopedia of Country Living, but as you can see, it is a thick book within itself, and I really like this one. I don't think it gets its due as much as it should. It's called Canning and Preserving Your Own Harvest, but what sets this apart from all the others are the charts. There is a chart in here for everything. This one happens to be freezer storage because, of course, it's canning and preserving. You're going to have all the different methods in here, not just canning. Everything you can think of in chart form. So if you're a chart reader, if you like things really spelled out clearly for you. The next one I want to cover is the Big Book of Preserving the Harvest. 150 recipes for freezing, canning, drying, and pickling fruits and vegetables. Now, by weight, it may not look overly big to you, but it is so detailed and full of information in there that I think you'll find this to be an extremely thorough guide for you no matter where you are in the canning process. Okay. If you're doing jams and jellies, ignore this book. But if you are going to be preserving meat at all, I think everyone should have a copy of A Guide to Canning, Freezing, Curing, and Smoking Meat, Fish, and Game. Blah, that was a mouthful. The canning section is not that thorough. Get one of the other books I'm mentioning along with this one for the real detailed how-to. However, if you're doing meat at all, do this because it's going to cover things like curing, sugar curing, salt curing, smoke houses, and it has a lot of recipes in there as well so that you can try a few different things. The next book I want to show you is The Beginner's Guide to Preserving Food at Home. Perhaps I should have started with it. This really is the beginner's guide. It's written very simply. So that means if you are new to canning, you know you need instructions that are easy for you to follow, that you can look at the book, turn around to do something else, and look back at the book and not miss a step. You want to feel confident with the skill that you're learning. And you may want to move on later to something more gourmet. Speaking of gourmet, Preserving Wild Foods. Now, this is one of my new favorite books. Wild foods, foraged foods, fish and seafood, mushrooms, those types of things. And it's not just canning, it's curing and smoking and pickling. I love this book so much that it is part of our canning starter kit. So if you are new to canning and you're not sure which supplies you should start out with, what you will like to use or need to use, the kit that we've put together is very thorough, has all the tools and gadgets and gizmos that we think are good for you to get started and that you'll enjoy. I've put this in there. Sharon Peterson wrote it. She is the brain behind simplycanning.com, and so the book is Simple Steps, Guide to Simply Canning. As far as a beginner how-to, I do really love the Beginner's Guide to Preserving Food at Home that I told you about, but this one is half the price. Of course, it's obviously not quite as detailed, doesn't take you as far in your expertise as this one, but extremely well written, very simple. You can read it on a rainy afternoon and get in the kitchen the next day and get started. She covers a lot about kitchen organization, those kinds of things, and safety. She covers safety, I think, better than anyone else too. Okay, I have a race in my kitchen between these two books. These are both recipe books. These, although they do, all canning books cover 2 or 3 pages on the how-to, I would really recommend either the Beginner's Guide or Simple Steps for a how-to beginner. Put them up. A comprehensive home preserving guide for the creative cook. And they talk also, she talks about drying and freezing and pickling. All of these books cover all of that. They do. But I love the illustrations because I think they're just great fun, bright and cheerful. They just cheer me up in a heartbeat. And lay out, this is a detailed instruction to give you an idea. My favorite thing is, I don't know if you could see it from there, but it's the color coding, because this book covers it food by food, which I love. I love. So that I can flip it open to Citrus and get some great recipes right away and know what I want to do with my food. And it'll also explain to you the best way to store that food. Pickled Pantry is what I credit really learning how to ferment foods. Pickles, relishes, chutneys, sauces, and pickles, but not just cucumber pickles. Oh my goodness, the spiced carrot recipe in here is very good. I love it. My kids don't, but I do. So we have the Pickled Pantry, Put 'em Up, Simple Steps in Preserving Food at Home, which are the 2 books I recommend for a beginner. If you're into meat, you'll want to check out A Guide to Canning, Freezing, Curing, Smoking Meat, Fish, and Game. And then, of course, we have the big book, Preserving the Harvest, which covers all the different methods as well, and really amazing recipes that even tell you what to do with the food once you've preserved it. Canning and Preserving Your Own Harvest, also very good for a beginner too. Covers everything very thoroughly, and of course is based on one of our primers, which I think everybody needs to start with. So this is Kaya with Pantry Paratus. Thank you for joining me for sitting on the couch and drinking a cup of tea and reading a book. Thank you.